Welcome to week 5 of Explore the Bible, continuing in our study of 1 Peter. Excited about the passage today. I think you're going to enjoy this as we're in 1 Peter chapter 3 today. Before we look at that, if you haven't already, you be sure and subscribe. Hit the little subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, like the video. If you've got a comment, a question, you want to tell us where you're watching from, put that in the comments and then share the video with somebody else, all right? You want to support our ministry, you can go to give.exposedtochrist.com. All right, let's look at 1 Peter chapter 3. We're going to start right at the beginning. We're doing the first 12 verses today. In the same way, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands, so that even if some disobey the word, they may be won over without a word by the way their wives live, when they observe your pure, reverent lives. Don't let your beauty consist of outward things like elaborate hairstyles and wearing gold jewelry or fine clothes, but rather what is inside the heart, the imperishable quality of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. Okay, great passage, controversial for some people. Some people who I think don't want to take God's word seriously, or maybe don't want to deal with all that God's word has to say because of this first phrase, wives. Let's change to this color here. That'll be better. Wives, submit to your own husbands. Now, I want to point out to you that this word submit, as you saw last week, has been around for a little bit, right? It is a word that Peter has used often, right? This word submit. In fact, we can go back and look. Here it is in chapter 2. Slaves, submit to your masters. But not just there. Look at this. Submit to every human authority. Submit as free people. It's a word that Peter has used often, this word of submit. Even that submit as free people. Submit does not mean you are less than. Submit does not mean you are not worth as much. Submit means to voluntarily place yourself under the leadership of someone else. And here, he echoes what Paul has already said in Ephesians. He says it again here, submit yourselves to your own husbands. This is the order that has been established by God. We see this in a creation order in Paul, and Peter is sharing that again, right? And he says, do this even if some disobey the word. Now, Peter is saying that submission is an act of voluntary acknowledgement of who God is and what God says and what God's word says. So you voluntarily acknowledge to fall under the leadership of your husband, even if your husband is not a believer, is not someone that is going to obey God's word, is not someone who's going to live by God's word. He said, because they may, not they will, but they may be won over without a word just by the way their wives live. He is not saying submit to do things that are ungodly. That's never, even like, look, okay, we're going to go back here. Submit to human authorities. He doesn't say you don't follow the emperor's command to worship the emperor. That's not in there, right? But it is a submission voluntarily to those who have authority over you, or to those who are in a place, you voluntarily place yourself under their authority. That's what he's saying here. And by doing so, you may win them over. He says they observe your pure, reverent lives. You see, this is not an act of giving in to the authority of a husband. It is giving in to the authority of God and his word. That's the challenge. We're going to follow God and his word or not. Okay, because clearly God's word says, wives, submit to your husbands. And we can get to the husbands in a little bit. Don't worry, Peter has a word for them too. Okay, just as Paul does. But here we're talking to wives, okay? And then the second part, this is the first part. This is number 1. The second part is here in verse 3. Don't let your beauty consist of outward things, like elaborate hairstyles and wearing gold jewelry or fine clothes. He's not saying you can't get your hair did. He's not saying you cannot have your hair done up. He's not saying you can't wear nice clothes. He's not saying you can't have jewelry. He's saying that cannot be the substance of your beauty. That cannot, and look, it's not hard to see that, right? For some people, the only beauty that they have is totally outward. He is saying this has to be what is inside the heart. Let your beauty be what is inside the heart, this imperishable quality of a gentle and quiet spirit. This is beauty. This is what the beauty needs to be. And if the focus is only on what is outside, you're going to miss what is most necessary, and that is, and this goes for everybody, right? But he's talking here to wives, so don't take it personally. Or look, if you feel attacked by this, then you might be feeling, the word might not be attacked, it might be convicted. That might be what it is. What is inside the heart, this imperishable, that is, it will not fade like the outside will, right? A gentle and quiet spirit. A gentle spirit, a quiet spirit is not one that, it doesn't mean that you can't have fun. It doesn't mean you can't laugh out loud. It doesn't mean that you can't be boisterous when necessary. What it means is that there is a calmness, and that you bring a calmness to the situation, to whatever it is, a gentleness. You know, that word is one of the fruit of the spirits, right? Gentleness is one. It's a part of God showing himself. And this should be for all believers, but he's saying especially for wives to have this gentle and calm spirit, this quiet spirit. He says this is of great worth in God's sight. Here's what I would submit. We should seek after those things that God says are valuable. We should seek after the things that he says are valuable, not the things that we say are valuable, but the things that he says are valuable. He says, for in the past, the holy women who put their hope in God also adorned themselves in this way, submitting to their own husbands, just as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. You have become her children when you do what is good and do not fear any intimidation. Okay, so he says there are examples. We have scriptural examples, these holy women who are in the past, right, put their hope in God. He uses even Sarah, right, following Abraham, right? He says, when you act like that, you are her children. That is, you are imitating her. And then look what he says. You do what is good. You do good things, and you do not fear any intimidation. Now, this one puzzled me. You know, when I first looked at that, what does that mean? That you can, if when you do what is good, you will not fear any intimidation. And I think what it means is, when you are following the Lord, when you are submitting yourself to the Lord and his word, and so therefore submitting yourself to your husband, then there's no need to fear intimidation or fear the anger or the outlandish things that may happen, that other people may say about you or to you, because the Lord is on your side. And let me say, it also means, look, he's not saying that if your husband is abusive, you are required to stay in an abusive relationship. He's not saying that. But he's saying that if you will follow the Lord, then you don't have to worry about what anybody else says or does to you. The Lord will take care of you. He will honor your life, so you don't have to fear any intimidation from anywhere else. And you know, there's a lot of confidence that comes for anyone who lives knowing I am doing my very best to live in obedience to God, in submission to his word. Great confidence comes in that. And that does not mean that there will be no trouble. That does not mean there will be no difficulty. It does not mean our lives may not even be in peril. It does mean the Lord is on our side and he will watch over and take care of us. Okay. Husbands, now we get to the husbands. In the same way, live with your wives in an understanding way as with a weaker partner, showing them honor as co-heirs of the grace of life, so that your prayers will not be hindered. Now he's talking to the husbands. Listen, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. What in the world does that mean? In an understanding way. He says, as with a weaker partner. Okay, I know this is not politically correct, but it is biblically true. It is, we know this, true, that in general, men have greater strength than women. All right? Physically stronger than women. A weaker partner. Not less, not unimportant, not unvaluable. He just says weaker. So be understanding, be careful, be gentle with them, live in an understanding way. Understanding who they are and who you are, understanding that your words can be extremely hurtful. And one of the differences between men and women is women say mean things to one another. That's how they do their battle. Men fight it out, right? And after men are done fighting it out, they go on and nobody cares, really. Women fight it out but with words, and it lasts forever. Understand that, men. That means your words can be extremely detrimental to her life. Watch over and be careful. Guard over her life. That is your responsibility as a husband, right? show, and don't miss this, okay, because people want to take all this stuff and say, well, there's some evil hierarchy. Listen, hierarchy is a part of life. It's not evil, it is in existence. But look what he says, showing them honor as co-heirs of the grace of life. You see that Peter is elevated. We are co-heirs. It's not the husband and the wife getting heirs, it's co-heirs, right? So that your prayers will not be hindered. You know what this means? Your prayers will not be hindered. It means that if you do not show honor to your wife, if you do not take care of her, if you are not understanding of her, it is a sin against God, and this hinders your prayer life. It hinders. The reason that some men are not here and some husbands, you're not having a prayer life of any strength, is because you are sinning against your wife repeatedly, and God doesn't want to hear it till you get right with her. All right, there I said it. Now, finally, all of you be like-minded and sympathetic, love one another, and be compassionate and humble, not paying back evil for evil or insult for insult, but on the contrary, giving a blessing, since you were called for this, so that you may inherit a blessing. Oh, look, there's so much here, right? You could spend so much time in all of this, and it's a challenge, right? But look at this. All of you, we got husbands, wives, slaves, the whole group, right? Everybody he's talked about before. Be like-minded and sympathetic. Love one another. Be compassionate and humble. Don't pay back evil for evil or insult for insult, but give a blessing so that you may inherit a blessing. Be in unity. Think correctly. Think together. Be sympathetic to one another. Understanding not everybody is in the same place at all the same time, and my weaknesses are somebody else's strengths, and my strengths are somebody else's weaknesses, and I need to be understanding of that and sympathetic to that. Love them, be compassionate, be humble. I didn't get here on my own. I'm here because of what God has done in my life and through others into my life, right? Don't pay back evil for evil. Don't just, well, that's the biggest deal, right? It just repeats. Stop the whole process. Don't buy into it. Don't get in that cycle. Say, no, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to repeat, so that you can then come back to me again, right? Instead, give a blessing. Give a blessing that is, be kind, say kind words, and be a blessing to others. For the one who wants to love life and to see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. And let him turn away from evil and do what is good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. Because the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do what is evil. Here you go. I mean, this is, right? You want to love life and see good days? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Don't lie. Don't be mean. Don't turn away from evil. Do the good. Seek peace. Pursue peace. You see that phrase? Pursue. Go after peace. Don't just like, well, it'd be nice if peace showed up. Go after and try to pursue peace, right? Because the Lord is watching, and he sees the righteous, and he hears their prayer. But if you are doing what is evil, the face of the Lord is against you. You are not going to get where you want to go, where you think you're headed, if you are doing what is evil. God will not honor that, and he will stop it. All right, there's so much here, right? You're going to have a challenge getting through, I think, getting to everything. So pick the pieces that you want to emphasize. And I'm telling you this, there is an importance to seeing. There are a lot of these verses. The meat of these verses in some ways is to husbands and wives. You know, it's to both. So, all right, hope that's helped. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for teaching. Be sure and subscribe, like, comment, share. We're going to have a good time. We already are in 1 Peter. We're going to have a good time finishing out. We'll see you next time.